Good morning from Texas. Today we will continue our academic IELTS reading test. We have passage 2 now, and there are 3 sets of questions here, so I will split it into 3 videos, but I will do all of them right now and show you step by step how to do this thing very, very well, okay? Today we have a list of headings in this video. And these, I think, are the most difficult. And so the strategy and technique is a little bit different. I will teach you everything you need to know to do amazing on your list of headings. But first, I need to drink something. Can you guess what I'm drinking? I'm in Texas, in the United States of America. It's morning. What do you think I'm drinking? I used to live in Azerbaijan, which was a tea drinking country. Now I'm back in my home country of America, and I'm in a coffee drinking country. Where do you live and what do you drink? I would love to know in the comments. So let's begin. First, we have a list of headings. There are some important things I want to teach you about list of headings. First, the first thing I do with the list of headings is I just like to think, how many answers do I have and how many questions do I have? That helps me to not get confused and think, oh, I didn't use all my answers. What happened? So here real quick, I see I have 7 answers and I have 4 questions. But actually, we have an example done here for us. And I think they stopped using examples on the reading test now. I think they stopped that last year. This is an old practice test, but it's still the same, just as helpful and useful. So let's say they did give an example and they already have answer 5 marked and it's used. One important thing about list of headings, a small, very simple and easy tip that you should use is called elimination. Elimination simply means to mark out or cross off answers you have already used. It saves you time and it helps you focus on your answers and get a higher score. It really does. So 5 is already used. I'm going to mark it off. Now I only have 6 answers out of 4. 6 answers and 4 questions left. So I know 2 of these I will not use. You cannot use these more than 1 time. Okay? That's number 1 thing to know about list of headings. Second, it's really important to know that list of headings simply means a title or a heading. So this means these answers should not just be a little detail in a paragraph, but it should give a summary or a view of basically the main point, the main purpose of that paragraph. So, and this is one of the ways they like to trick you in list of headings. So one way they trick you is you find this detail. Oh, paragraph C was talking about transmission of radio signals from planets. Well, maybe it was. But is that what the whole paragraph is really about? Well, no. C just mentioned it, but the whole paragraph was about rockets. It just happened to mention that. It's not our answer. Don't fall for that trick. Another way they like to trick you is by finding the same words, maybe the same phrase in a paragraph, but again, it's not really what that paragraph is about, right? So maybe transmission of radio signals was in paragraph E. You found that phrase and you thought, oh, transmission, it was in E. Still, it's not our answer. That's not what that whole paragraph was really about. So you really have to think. IELTS is a thinking test, okay? So what should we do next? We should read the questions and underline our keywords, right? That's what I like to do. Well, yes, I do that, but I also know that keywords are a little bit less helpful in the list of headings. Why? Because these are not full sentences, right? These are just phrases. And these phrases are headings, which means it already has the most important words in it for the most part. So there's not much extra words. There's not many extra words that is just fluff, for example, right? So pretty much everything in the list of heading answers are important words, keywords, but I still like to do it. So let's do that now. Number 1, seeking the transmission of radio signals from planets. Transmission of radio signals, I like that. Number 2, appropriate responses to signals from other civilizations. So signals from planets, signals from other civilizations, that's pretty much the same, but what's different? What's different? Transmission, we have responses, okay? Number 3, vast distances to Earth's closest neighbors. Vast distances, what does vast mean? Vast means very, very large. We say that the ocean is a vast area. It's hard to see how far it is, how big it is. It is huge. It is vast. Vast distances to Earth's closest neighbors. Maybe neighbors is good. 4, assumptions underlying the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Assumptions. Extraterrestrial intelligence. 5, search for. 5 reasons. We used it, but let's do the keywords anyway. Reasons for the search for. So this one's pretty much the same. Search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Search for extraterrestrial intelligence. That is a tongue twister, right? But reasons. Number 6, knowledge. Knowledge of extraterrestrial life forms. Number 7, likelihood of life on other planets. What does likelihood mean? That means probability. What's the percentage? The likelihood of me drinking tea this morning is pretty good. Maybe 80, 90%. Most people in Texas drink, did I say tea? Most people in Texas drink coffee in the morning, so the likelihood of that is very, very good. Did you guess coffee? Okay. Whatever is in here, I need a drink. Hello. All right. There's 2 really good tips. One amazing tip that I will teach you in just a minute, but one more that you really need to know, okay? So for this video, I will do only list of headings, and then I will do the next questions in the next videos. But if you are doing a real test, I want you to do keywords, reading questions, thinking about the answers for all the questions related to that passage before you begin looking at the passage, okay? Actually, there was a step we forgot to do. What was that step? Sometimes it's hard for me to teach and do the test at the same time. Step number 1, we went straight to step number 2, which is looking and reading the questions, doing keywords. But step number 1 is always read the title of the passage. We forgot to do that. Is there anybody out there? The search for extraterrestrial intelligence. All right. That is our passage title. So now let's do our list of headings. Now look at this. If you saw my previous video, I believe it was questions 1 through 7, I mentioned how sometimes answers come from these titles, these subtitles. This one is very long. I wouldn't call this a subtitle, but it's not a paragraph, but you don't want to miss it, okay? Sorry about that. You don't want to miss this. There could be some answers in here, even though, well, there won't be answers for list of headings in there because these are specific to the paragraphs, but maybe our other questions, these could have some answers in this little introductory paragraph, I guess you could call it. Okay, let's do it. Paragraph B, paragraph C, paragraph D, paragraph E. Usually it's a list of all of them, okay? So think about these. I have my very important keywords already circled or squared, and now I'm ready to do it. What is my first step for list of headings? Do I just read the whole paragraph? In a way, yes. In a way, you do have to read the whole paragraph, but scanning or skimming is a useful tactic here if you are good at that. Some people are not, and they just need to read it. That's fine if you want to do that. But the number one tip for list of headings that you should know is usually the answers come, are you ready? In the first sentence. Now think about that. Why? A list of heading is telling us the main purpose, the main point of the paragraph, right? And what does the first sentence of a paragraph usually do? It usually tells us what that paragraph is about. It's like a mini introduction, an introductory sentence to the paragraph. And a lot of times IELTS puts the answer in that first sentence in a paraphrased form. So what I always do is I look at the paragraph I'm working on, I read the first sentence, and then I go back and I look at my list of headings and I see, is there one there that sounds just like that, but paraphrased? And if there is, it's a very good indication that is your answer. But not always, because sometimes they could have a little detail in that first sentence that is the list of heading, but the rest of the paragraph isn't about that. It was just a little detail, so you have to be very careful. But first sentence is your first place to look and a very good indication. All right? And then the second best place to find your list of heading answer is in the last paragraph. In the last paragraph, kind of like a conclusion. But it's much less likely there than it is the first sentence. All in all, I usually read the whole paragraph or I skim it really quickly, but I read the first sentence for sure. Okay? If I find it in the first sentence, I'm thinking 80%, 90% sure that's the answer. But I double check by reading all of it. Because I've been tricked before. Okay, let's do it. Paragraph B. Let's read the first sentence. In discussing whether we are alone, most SETI scientists adopt two ground rules. So they're talking about adopting two ground rules, and then I see they say first, then I see second. So most of this paragraph, and we can go to the back, is talking about these two ground rules. Let's read the last paragraph, or the last sentence. It's very long. I will skim it. In other words, the life form we are looking for, resemble us, should communicate, Okay. So, first sentence, let's see if that sounds like anything we have. Scientists adopt two ground rules. Two ground rules. What does that mean? Reasons? Ground rules for assumptions? For extra. Two ground rules is a pretty close synonym for assumptions, right? So before you do something like taking an IELTS test, we make some ground rules. Ground rule number 1, read the questions first. Ground rule number 2, read the title first, right? Those are ground rules. Before we begin, before anything starts, we do those rules. And why? Because there's assumptions there. The assumption is that reading the questions first helps you. And the other assumption is reading the title first helps you. Okay? So I'm thinking assumptions, two ground rules, and it does pass the test that most of the paragraph is talking about that. So now I'm going to skim the rest of it just to see if ground rules really applies. And if I find some better paraphrasing for ground rules. Generally ignored since most scientists, we do have scientists, Did we have scientists? No, we didn't have scientists. Scientists don't consider the evidence for them to be strong enough to bear serious consideration. Look at this. Second, we make a very conservative assumption. That's another good clue, right? If, in the beginning we're thinking assumptions, paraphrase, and then in the middle they're saying assumptions. I'm going to mark that. That is enough for me to think that. And then I eliminate it. Here's the thing with elimination though. If you don't feel very confident in your answer, you might not want to eliminate it, right? Or you might want to just do a weak elimination or an elimination with a question mark that way. But if you are very confident that was the answer, eliminate it, okay? So number 15, paragraph C, let's go there. First sentence. Even when we make these assumptions, our understanding of other life forms is still severely limited. Look at this, guys. We have assumptions, which sounds like 4. We have understanding, which sounds like 6, knowledge. Look, knowledge of extraterrestrial life forms, understanding, synonym for knowledge, life forms. This sounds very much like number 6. But what about assumptions? Even when we make these assumptions, so what are these assumptions? Look at this. These assumptions is referring back up to the previous paragraph, right? These paragraphs are still connected. And so this sentence, this first sentence in paragraph C, is like a transition sentence that takes us from paragraph B to paragraph C. So even when we make these assumptions, which actually gives us more confidence that paragraph B is about assumptions, our understanding, which is now telling us we're transitioning from talking about assumptions to talking about understanding. So let's double check. Is this paragraph about understanding? Look at how likely it is. See, is that a detail they're trying to trick us with? We have a likelihood. You can see life form on it. But look at this. 1 in 100,000, that is a likelihood. Inconceivable, what is the likelihood of something that's inconceivable? 0. It means you can't even believe it. It's so unlikely. Neighbors, wasn't that one of them? Yeah. But we're not matching words. We're matching meanings and overall general purpose. I'm going to leave this one open. That's tricky. I think it could be 6, knowledge of extraterrestrial life forms. It could also be likelihood of life on other planets. Let's go to D. Because if we can answer D and E and eliminate a little bit more, that helps us. So D, an alien civilization could choose many different ways of sending information across the galaxy. Already that sounds like something. Sending information, transmission, many different ways. Did we have something like that? No. Across the galaxy, but many of these either require too much energy or else are severely attenuated while traversing the vast distances across the galaxy. We have our phrase, if they don't paraphrase it, I don't trust them. I like paraphrases. When they say the same words, I think they're lying and tricking us. What do you think? Let's look more. Transmitted power, radio waves. Radio waves, radio signals, that's the same. Frequencies, we're talking about frequencies. We don't have anything here about frequencies. Again, frequencies here. Talking about a lot of searches. The other part of the project is an undirected search, which is monitoring all of space with the lower sensitivity. What does this sound like to you? What would you choose? Well, right now I'm leaning toward seeking the transmission of radio signals from planets. What is a synonym of seeking? Seeking, looking for, searching for. And this whole thing is about searches. Searching. I think our answer is I. I feel confident in that. We have all three of these in this paragraph from top to bottom. Okay? Oops. Yeah, okay, I marked it on the right answer. Number 17. There is considerable debate over how we should react if we detect a signal from an alien civilization. So how we should react. I think we had something like that. Appropriate responses. Responses, synonym, reactions. Let's read more. Let's read the last sentence. It's not important then if there's a delay of a few years or decades while the human race debates the question of whether to reply, respond, or perhaps carefully drafts a reply. Really seems like that one so far. What about the rest? Everybody agrees we should not reply immediately. Still, they're talking about that. Reply. Reply. This whole thing is about replying, which is responding. This is 2. This is 2. So I've been able to eliminate a few more. It's only 1 out of 3 answers that is paragraph C. And it's tough that it didn't eliminate one of these 2 because these are my 2 choices. Let me go look at it one more time. Knowledge or likelihood, what do you think? Educated guess. This one is very close for me. I really don't know. Likelihood is a little bit more specific than knowledge. It talks about that, how likely, inconceivable is a likelihood, 1 in 100,000 is a likelihood. This one really, I'm going to go with likelihood. And there you have it. So, again, this is a hard test, right? We do the best that we can, and these are the best strategies. Look at the first sentence when you're doing list of headings. Think about the words here that make the answers different, and don't forget to eliminate. And remember, it's the main purpose of the paragraph, what they talk about most of the time, not some detail in just one sentence. Those are the things you really want to think about. Do this, and I think you will have success on your IELTS list of headings. My name is Brett, and stay tuned for the next video.